So if you could announce yourselves for the camera. This is the...
I'm Kam Gill, Managing Director for Walfinch, Oxfordshire.
Lovely.
And I'm Amrit Dhaliwal, the CEO and founder of Walfinch.
Great. And how do you guys know each other?
Oh, funny story, really. We're siblings.
Okay.
He's my baby brother.
I am.
So how many... Tell me the whole family tree. So you're... Where do you sit?
So I'm the eldest child in the family, and he's the youngest, and we have two sisters in the middle.
Wow.
Which is quite funny. Yeah, Cam is almost a decade older than me. She likes me announcing that in a public forum.
Nice. And mum and dad, where are they?
So mum and dad are retired. My dad said to us quite a while ago that he was going to retire at 50, and he did.
Did it?
And he
Fair
did.
play, yeah.
He had this vision that he wanted to buy a house where there would be a driveway where he could drive through one side and out the other side, and that's the house he's living in right now.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, I mean, actually, so my dad is very driven, and I remember I was 11 years old and gives me the most relaxed book in the world called The Power of the Subconscious Mind, and I'm like, I'm just going into secondary school. What the hell is this thing? But it changed my thinking, and he really kind of got into that and that visualization techniques and so on. And you got to think, my parents are both from villages in India, and I'm talking, real villages in India where there's just 2G came in when I was like 25, and it's just unbelievable. They came over, learned the language, culture, built something, and then also had the foresight to say, all of our friends are going to carry on building, but we're going to this is what we want to do, and then we want to spend time with the grandkids, write the books, have fun, and not work to be a slave to it all. I thought that, I remember when they bought the house, I was 18 and just going off to university, and I remember being at the back of the garden looking at the house, and I said, Dad, so are you sure you're going to just sort of sell shop and all of that and basically just retire? And it's like, if I don't do it now, then I won't do it, right? And I just thought, gosh, that is...
And that was a very stressful day. So when he came home, we just moved into this house, and he'd come home and he'd signed the paperwork, done all the stock take and everything. He'd come home, and me and my sister was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how Dad's going to cope. He's always been working, and him and Mum at home all the time. Like, how is this going to work out? And when my dad came home, my mum was out somewhere, and my dad comes home and he just starts, sorting out cupboards, and he's working in the garage, and we're just thinking, oh my God, he is not going to cope with not working, because that's all he's ever known. Sunday mornings, when I was at school, I was going to the market. I was getting up at 5 o'clock, going to the markets with him. He would work 7 days a week.
7 days, yeah. I mean, these guys really put a shift in. I mean, I remember, this is before I was born, but they were doing alternate shifts so that Cam and my the next sister, would be at home. One of them would be working at night, then they'd come home, and then the other one would go. So they'd never see each other because they'd be working literally round the clock. Unbelievable, right?
So where were they working? What was...
So worked for Mars, so the Mars factory.
Uh-huh.
Initially, Mum was working for, I think, Black and Decker, and then they working at Mars. Mum continued working there, and Dad then started the markets.
Yeah.
And so he was doing days, Mum was doing nights, and stuff like that.
And then the year I was born, they started. They bought the first shop.
Yeah.
And so they were then doing. I think Mum had just stopped the market, the factory work then, and Dad was doing markets and the shop, and it was brutal. You sort of hear the story and you think, gosh, they really just going hell for leather, and 4 children, right? I've just had my third, and it's painful, but I've learnt not to ever complain about that, right? But you just carry on, and it's just.
I remember when Amrit was born. He was born. We were living in Maidenhead, and and we were moving home as well. So we were moving to Hounslow, where Dad, because we'd bought the shop, and my mum had just given birth to him. She'd had a really difficult pregnancy. I remember throughout mum's pregnancy, we were back and forth dropping her to the hospital because she had to have periods where she just stayed there and all that. So, he was a problem from day one. But so we moved this into this house, and my mum had to have surgery because she had gallstones or something, and she had to have surgery. My dad's just bought this shop. He's got the Marcus in the background, and then he's got a newborn baby, and my dad was exhausted. So we had like an auntie helping out and stuff with us and dropping us to school and stuff. My dad doing the shop and stuff, and he was so tired. And mum's just had surgery, and she's recovering.
Move, right?
Yeah, she was not recovering. And I remember my dad, mum said to my dad, "Oh, Amrit's crying." He was, he got him out the cot, and instead of giving him the bottle, he put the cordless phone, he started putting that in his mouth because he was so tired. And my mum said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then he woke up, and he actually gave him a bottle. But he was so tired. He was just, and I still remember some of those, events. Then it was hardcore, but they kept on going.
I mean, actually, I think that's really given us that work ethic. It's very funny. So Cam and I have worked together for over 10 years, right? But my other two sisters, we've spoken about it, and like I couldn't work with them. Love them very much. We all have lots of fun, but the work ethic that Cam has and I have is akin to our parents' work ethic. I think in many ways it's just laser focus, and it's I do think so much of that discipline piece is built into you because of how you are bred. I think being the eldest child, and then being from the Indian community, being the only son, you there's a certain expectation of, well, if you don't deliver results, then you can bugger off as well. And so you're both raised in a very specific way, and it's really interesting how that kind of materializes as you get older, and it's very funny, isn't it?
It's like all of mum and dad's daughters. My dad had bought them a little banger. When it came to him, he said, "Well, you can get your own."
Get your own car. I was like, right, great,
wow.
Cool.
And your first car?
Was a Micra.
Colour?
Red.
A number
Two
plate
or
sometimes
four?
I can't remember the number plate. I
But-
remember when I passed my driving test, I just come home, I'm really happy, and Dad goes, "All right, I need you to go to the cash and carry," and I'm giving Abby cards.
Yeah, because
It goes on, said, "You need to go to the cash and carry and pick up." I was like, "Okay, I'll go," but I was so nervous because it was that
It was on, like,
massive
the
roundabout.
A40,
Yeah, it was
wasn't
that
it?
massive
Southall.
roundabout, a
Oh,
complicated roundabout in Southall, and I got there, and like 10, 15 days later, I was like, I wish I never passed. I'd been to the cash and carries, I was doing the school runs.
Cam, when I was growing up, Cam was basically my mum, right? It was, she's 9 years older than I am, and so she was dropping me, picking me up from school. It was like, I often laugh with friends. It was like being in the mafia. You never speak to the Don, you just speak to the capo on the level above, I'm like, literally, my parents are just working, and I've got Cam sort of saying, right, okay, yeah, do your homework, and here, eat this is your dinner. I'm like, I don't want it. Well, that's your dinner. It's just really just quite funny. I mean, the level of responsibility from a young age is bonkers, really. It's very interesting.
Growing up, we'd watch movies, like Indian movies, and we'd watch like 18. Like mum and dad never looked at ratings. They didn't have a clue what ratings. And mum and dad got a call, I think, once that your son's beating up kids in school. And my dad then realised,
that was a
okay.
different son, of course.
My dad realised that, okay, so I need to watch what, he's watching all of these action movies and stuff, and he's trying all that.
Well, hey, Jackie Chan was pretty cool, right?
And then what was your first memory of Amrit then?
Going to the hospital when my dad called us, it was a really happy moment. I still remember that. I said to Dad, I want to give a £1 note because we always give money, don't we?
Yeah, so odd numbers are lucky, and so if you are giving someone a gift as an Indian, or certainly as a Punjabi, but generally as Indians, you'd give, £10 or £20, but then you put a £1 coin with it, or a £1 note in the olden days, right? So.
Yeah, we used to have £1 notes. Yeah, no, and I remember we'd come home from the hospital, so we'd all gone to see him, and come back. come, and you know how it is, you know, with Indian families, then the whole clan comes, you know, then I'm with my other auntie helping to cook, and then I was like chopping stuff up, and there was chilies, and I went and then rubbed my eyes. I still remember I went upstairs, Mum wasn't home, I was like, I don't know who to tell, and I was like, had to wash my eyes out, and I was like, you know, I couldn't even do anything, I didn't have Mum at home, and I didn't want to give anybody else any more stress, and Dad was, you know, had a lot on his plate, and I was just like, but I remember that day when he called and said that you guys got a baby brother and stuff. It was, yeah.
And was he cute looking?
He was swollen because the nurse got soap in his eyes, and the baby picture that we've got is like he's got puffy red eyes.
Just like,
so he looks
had a
quite
big night
swollen.
out.
Yeah.
I don't know whether this will float across the screen at this moment. So a swollen baby.
Yeah, a swollen baby, and he was home after a couple of days, and yeah, it was amazing, you know, because you and Suki's like 3 years.
About 3 years. Yeah.
So our sister, my
youngest sister,
the younger sister, she lived in India for a couple of years because obviously me and Dee were started going full-time school. Amrit wasn't in the picture, and obviously there was an issue, like Dad had started the markets, Mum was getting into the shops and stuff, and I think there was a period where she was in India for a couple of years, wasn't it?
Like a boarding school, we sort of take the mick out of
I
her
think
quite a
you should
bit,
do that.
actually. So it's,
You know,
I mean,
I
it's
think it's quite-
as a parent now, I couldn't, you know, that is so hard as well. I mean, but these guys, you know, the thing is, as immigrants, there is no other option. You don't have a support network. You have no money. There is no excess capital. If there is, it is in raising your family or investing or whatever. And so there are no options. You know, it's really interesting, actually, when I think about it, and you think about care workers and so on, and you know, and you think about how you behave with care workers. You know, I often think this and think, well, you know, the stories that we've heard and the things that we've felt growing up. You know, we felt that, like, okay, it's things are tight or whatever it is, and you understand that demographic really clearly because, well, we've been there, right? And certainly our parents, you know, literally they came over with like £3, unbelievable to build anything at that point. You really have to. We've spoken before, Simon, about self-belief. You know, that is just everything, isn't it, in that situation? Because you can be totally nothing, or decide to be something, and it really is a decision. I think in that situation, it's brutal.